Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 249 based on novel. So let's start. The temperature of this blood pool is really terrifying. If it weren't for the protection of the holy flame, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to bear it for long. Xiao Yan took off his clothes and slowly immersed in the blood pool, feeling the blood pools different from ordinary people. High temperature, open the mouth. This place is said to be a blood pond, but in fact it contains some clear and transparent water, but just after Xiao Yang soaked it, a burning sensation of burning came instantly. It seems clear and transparent, but it is actually burning hot. The blood pool is well deserved. According to what the master said, I should first devour the fighting spirit, and use the power of the fighting spirit to be more confident in the following things. Then I will melt the earth dragon blood crystal into the blood pool, so that the body can better absorb the earth dragon. The power of blood crystals, so as to cultivate the 9 transformations of the dragon god. Xiao Yang endured the inhuman burning sensation in the blood pool, and carefully recalled what the Soul Eater had explained to him before. I don't know if this fighting spirit will allow me to break through to the 1-star fighting immortal. Xiao Yang muttered, and then without hesitation, his pupils closed suddenly, facing the fighting spirit stored in the sea of fighting qi in his body. Ever since it was sealed in the Do Qi Sea by Xiao Yang, the undead Mingqiu had quietly turned into a piece of paper. Nothing was wrong. At this time, Xiao Yang's huge soul power had just poured into the Do Qi Sea. The undead Mingqiu seemed to have found something, and wriggled slightly. Senior, how offended. Xiao Yang muttered silently in his heart, and then without hesitation, the dazzling soul force directly transported the piece of paper that sealed the immortal ghost to the top of the blood pool. What a pure energy. Xiao Yang looked at the piece of paper that sealed the undead ghost, and a trace of pure power flowed out. He couldn't help but his greedy face floated a few times. This piece of light group paper was originally given to him for sealing by helping Kang Qi defeat the Nether Kings, but the effect of the sealing is really unremarkable. The seal, break. At the next moment, Xiao Yang didn't have any extra thoughts, and the dazzling soul wave slowly moved towards the seal light group. At that time, the tyrannical seal suddenly showed a trace of cracks, and it didn't take long. A clicking sound slowly emerged. He, boy, we meet again. At the next moment, a gloomy laughter slowly emerged. Senior Immortal Mingqiu. Seeing this, Xiao Yang was not overly surprised, but said calmly. After all, if Immortal Mingqiu was not willing to follow him and actively find a way to seal himself in the sea of fighting qi, I am afraid Xiao Yang no fighting spirit yet. It's only been so long, I didn't expect your strength to reach the middle stage of the 1-star fighting immortal. Immortal Mingqiu just appeared, and immediately turned into a red-robed man, staring at Xiao Yang and said, "To tell the truth, this time to summon the senior, it is necessary to devour the fighting spirit to strengthen oneself." Xiao Yang said, "Okay, for a while, you can directly use the power of holy flame to erase my spiritual wisdom and extract my origin. When you devour the origin, you will have the power of my undead ghost fighting soul." Undying ghost red robe, the man didn't seem to be worried at all, and said slightly, "Senior, you." And looking at the undead Mingqiu who didn't struggle at all, Xiao Yang was a little helpless. Obviously, why did this guy agree so easily? When others devour the fighting spirit, they go to great lengths to reduce the fighting spirit's resistance. It's better that this undead ghost, without any resistance, even a trace of, happy. Ahem, it's getting late, hurry up, be a big man, mother-in-law. Seeing Xiao Yang in a sluggish state, Immortal Mingqiu directly laughed and scolded. The reason why the Immortal Mingqiu was so eager was because he saw Xiao Yang's potential. Xiao Yang possessed holy flames, and the exercises he practiced must also be Fenju. In addition to his age, he possesses such tyrannical strength, so his future achievements may also be. As for Fenju, many supernatural beings are vaguely aware that by cultivating this technique, their future achievements are limitless. Although the fighting spirit was swallowed and turned into a part of Xiao Yang, if Xiao Yang broke through the level of fighting immortals, he would undoubtedly be able to gain a new life without dying. In fact, the Immortal Mingqiu is also gambling. Once Xiao Yang can break through Dozian in the future, then he will follow suit, but if he can't, I am afraid that his end will be the same as Xiao Yang, and he will not be able to escape. But in the final analysis, they are all earned by the undead. After all, these creatures, whether they are beasts, spirit beasts, or even fighting spirits, their strength increases with the increase of time. Even if they do not practice, they will survive for a long time. Yes, the strength is also rising. But the extremes turn against them. Their tyrannical strength will lead to divine condemnation. From Yan to 9 stars, every time they break through a star, they will attract a divine condemnation. The divine condemnation is tyrannical again and again, and the so-called divine condemnation is more than the Yan. The robbery is more tyrannical. Immortal Mingqiu just broke through Yan and survived a scourge. At that time, even with the help of Kang Qi and others, he almost fell. All kinds of undead Mingqiu are eager to turn into Xiao Yang's fighting spirit. The fighting soul of human beings does not need to experience the scourge anymore, but at best they have lost their freedom and wisdom. Okay. Hearing this, Xiao Yang didn't hesitate, and the bright blue-yellow flame instantly filled his fingertips, and then slowly wrapped around the piece of paper that sealed the immortal sparrow. The immortal dwarf bird was entangled by such a hot and sacred flame, and the red-robed man's body disappeared instantly, thus revealing his body. The undead dwarf bird, which was as huge as 100 meters in size, gave Xiao Yang a touch with just a glance. Heavy. And the undead ghost that showed its body was roasted by Xiao Yang's sacred holy flame. There was a trace of fiery red all over its body, and even a trace of grey flame was emitted from the heart, and that grey flame, unexpectedly it can't stand still with Xiao Yang's blue-yellow flame. To be with, Xiao Yang's blue-yellow flame is the fusion product of 2 holy flames, the 35th ranked Fire Heart Skyrock and the 24th ranked Ghost Face Soul Flame, both of which are afraid of the grey color of this undead ghost. The flame is enough to show that the undead fire, which is related to the undead ghost, is powerful. Little guy, I hope you won't let me down. After a while, only a trace of spiritual wisdom left in the undead Mingqiu was directly refined by Xiao Yang's holy flame, leaving the last trace of voice in the space. With a sound, all the spiritual wisdom of the undead underworld sparrow was dissipated by it, and then an undying underworld sparrow covered in fiery red slowly stood in front of Xiao Yang. At this time, the immortal ghost bird does not have any intelligence, it is like a dead thing, and there is only that huge and pure power. Congratulations to send off the seniors. Xiao Yang looked at the undead Mingqiu like this, and he also respected the undead Mingqiu in his heart. Let's get started. The next moment, after waiting for the immortal bird's intelligence to dissipate, Xiao Yang spoke slowly, with a touch of excitement in his voice. Fighting spirit. After swallowing the fighting spirit, it is impossible to increase Xiao Yang's strength, and even his combat power will skyrocket after possessing the fighting spirit. Originally, Xiao Yang's combat power was extremely terrifying. If he had a fighting spirit, he would probably become a mobile destroyer. The fighting spirit is a special form that can only be swallowed by the strong fighting immortals. After devouring the fighting spirit, it can greatly increase its combat power, fight against others, and summon the fighting spirit to attach itself to the surface of the body. Its own strength is combined with the unique power of the fighting spirit. Combining the two, the battle may be presented. Geometric multiple increase. However, this also has many requirements for swallowing the fighting spirit. After fighting immortals, the differentiation and restraint of attributes is extremely important. The powerhouses of the same level and strength, fighting skills, and even the mutual restraint of attributes will undoubtedly become the key to affecting the battle. And devouring the fighting spirit also has many attributes. As the fighting spirit of the predecessor of Undying Fire, undead Mingqiu must have a lot to do with Undying Fire, but Undying Mingqiu did not tell Xiao Yang any news about Undying Fire. The immortal sparrow itself is the predecessor of the immortal fire, so its attribute is naturally fire. In addition to Xiao Yang as a pharmacist, the two attributes of fire and wood, the immortal sparrow is for Xiao Yang at this time. Quite fit. If nothing else, Xiao Yangguang is a fire attribute, which means that he is stronger than ordinary people who cultivate the fire attribute. In addition to the holy flame and the fire attribute immortal sparrow now swallowed, I am afraid that Xiao Yang is a fire attribute. Invincible existence. Breath adjustment is over. Xiao Yang slowly opened his pupils, and then looked at the immortal ghost bird that was almost covering the entire blood pool, and couldn't help but exclaimed. Originally, because of the lifting of the seal and the refining of the undead nymph, some power was consumed. Xiao Yang naturally had to be fully prepared before he dared to devour the fighting spirit. After all, although the undead nymph at this time had no psyche, only pure energy was left, but the resistance generated by instinct should not be sloppy. This big guy. Xiao Yang smiled slowly. Come on. The next moment, Xiao Yang's eyes became deep, and then the fire attribute circular fighting spirit in his body revolved at a high speed, and the Fen Ju deep in his body also revolved rapidly, slowly dispersing a tyrannical suction force. Go to the undead ghost. Devouring the fighting spirit is not the same as you usually do, swallowing the power of the fighting spirit into the body. Because the fighting spirit is a whole, it cannot use the most primitive devouring. And the way of swallowing it is to let the huge fighting spirit cover your body, let the fighting spirit adapt to your body, your strength, and your will, so that you can control the fighting spirit. After the swallowing is successful, it will be attached to the surface of your body, forms a fighting spirit. You can compare the fighting spirit to your armor, summon it when you need it, and remove it when you don't need it. Xiao Yang just started, and suddenly recalled what the Soul Eater had said earlier. To devour the fighting soul, you must first use the soul power to overlap the fighting soul's body with your own body. Remember that you can only use the soul power, and you cannot move. The reason for this is to make the fighting soul adapt to your own soul power in advance. It can't be swallowed directly, otherwise this guy's energy is too huge and it will explode. I want to control my body, so that it can adapt to my strength and soul. Xiao Yang calmed down and did not rush to swallow it, but repeated the words of the Soul Eater. Crash. At the next moment, as if he suddenly understood something, Xiao Yang directly controlled his huge soul power and slowly moved the undead ghost shrouded above the blood pool. This guy is too big, so he can't be smaller. After a few breaths, Xiao Yang found that he was a little far away from the top of the blood pool controlled by the undead Minkyu, and within a few breaths, he moved it a little bit, and even the distance moved was negligible, so he shook his head. Come here. The next moment, Xiao Yang's stubborn temper came up, the soul power and the holy flame power were directly directed at the undead ghost, but this time, this guy actually didn't move. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yang couldn't help rolling his eyes. It seems that we can only take it slowly. Xiao Yang smiled helplessly when he saw this. The next moment, he was directly controlling the power of his soul, and slowly moved the position of the immortal ghost to his own position. 1 minute. 10 minutes. An hour. Time passed slowly. Finally, this kind of movement like a snail. On the third day, the body of the undead ghost finally slowly overlapped with Xiao Yang's body. Next, I'm afraid that's the most important thing. Seeing the overlapping figures of the two, Xiao Yang couldn't help but take a deep breath and said solemnly. And the second step, after the two of you overlap, the power of the fighting spirit and your power will have an extremely strong impact. Remember to protect your heart, and you must not be washed away by the power of the fighting spirit, otherwise, everything is in vain. And the most important step in the second step is to transfer your own power into the body of the fighting spirit, so as to replace its power and pour your power into the body of the fighting spirit, and the original energy of the fighting spirit is the influx into your body. As for whether you can break through the 1-star fighting immortal, it depends on your own good fortune. Seeing the success of the first step, the mind of the Lord of Soul Eater appeared in his mind. I still don't believe it. I, the dignified Emperor Yang of Wen, can't deal with a small fighting spirit. Xiao Yang slowly closed his eyes and looked at the fiery red immortal ghost bird that was nearly 100 meters in size outside his body. Couldn't help saying. The undead Minkyu seemed to have sensed the danger. With its instinct, it made a very strange cry. It had just merged with Xiao Yang's body. At that time, it exuded an extremely violent aura, just like the most primitive aura of a demon beast, shot at Xiao Yang frantically, as if he wanted to obliterate and devour Xiao Yang. It's good to come. Seeing this, Xiao Yang murmured, and then the dazzling soul power and fighting chi shot directly at the fiery red fighting chi. To deal with violence, violence can only be overcome by violence. Boom. The dazzling attack exploded directly, and then the immortal ghost bird without intelligence seemed to be a little afraid of Xiao Yang, and couldn't help but let out a resentful cry. The dazzling fiery red flame was attacking Xiao Yang. And go. Boom. Boom boom boom. The undead Minkyu attacked again and again, trying to obliterate Xiao Yang, thereby taking away Xiao Yang's body, but Xiao Yang only defended and could not attack, and let the immortal Minkyu attack so arrogantly, it was all being attacked. Xiao Yang resisted. Looking at your breath is also wilting. It's not bad. When he noticed that the breath of the immortal bird had been waning, Xiao Yang's pupils slowly opened, and then the first layer of the spiritual palace in his body flashed brightly, a wave of incomparably tyrannical soul fluctuations leaning directly on the undead ghosts. At the same time, 2 khaki and cyan holy flame crystals also appeared in Xiao Yang's hands, and then 2 drops of liquid that were quite crystal silver slowly disappeared towards the phantom of the undead ghost. A strange chirping sounded slowly, and with Xiao Yang's method, the body of the undead ghost that was originally wrapped in the fiery red flame was slowly wrapped by the power of Xiao Yang's blue-yellow holy flame, and a more powerful wave than before slowly radiated out. This change only lasted for a few minutes. At that time, undead Ming completely gave up resistance and let Xiao Yang assimilate. At this time, it had obviously become Xiao Yang's fighting spirit. Wait, what is this? And realizing that the undead Might Sparrow gradually lost all resistance, Xiao Yang just wanted to laugh, but found that a fiery red flame and a faint grey flame directly escaped from the body of the undead ghost, and then abruptly went towards Xiao Yang's body of fighting spirit and burning determination. In the end, the fiery red flame and grey flame directly filled Xiao Yang, Do He and Fen Ju, and then Xiao Yang's aura suddenly soared. Crash. 1-star fighting Immortal late stage. 1-star fighting Immortal is complete. Half-step 2-star fighting Immortal early stage. Early stage of 2-star fighting Immortals. Aware of this sudden scene, Xiao Yang's brows couldn't help but show a touch of shock. Early stage of the 2-star Dozian? Xiao Yang said in disbelief as he looked at the phantom of the immortal sparrow shrouded outside his body and sensed the fluctuations emerging from the Do core within his body. Xiao Yang knew very well that because his strength had just broken through, he was only in the middle stage of the 1-star Dozian. This devoured the soul of Dozian, and he actually forcibly broke through the 1-star Dozian and reached the level of the 2-star Dozian. Soul can bring strength to a certain extent, but at this moment, Xiao Yang still couldn't help but want to laugh. Success. The next moment, the shock on his face was slowly replaced by a smile. 2-star fighting Immortal. The strength of the 2-star Dozian can undoubtedly cope with the ratio of Dongju this time, and Xiao Yang has more confidence in the ratio of the 4 continents after the ratio of Dongju. This undead ghost bird is really strong. The next moment, Xiao Yang and his soul power were currently sensing the undead ghost bird, and found that he was shrouded and attached by the undead ghost bird at this time, and his defense and even attack power were improved. Upper grade. Even with the strength of the fighting spirit alone, Xiao Yang, who was in the early stage of the 2-star fighting Immortal stage, and the real middle stage 2-star fighting Immortal powerhouse, would not be able to give in too much. Hey, this undead nymph seems to resonate with undead leaf. In the next moment, Xiao Yang discovered that, as he successfully devoured the undead nymph, the undead leaf in his body made a sound. Strange sound. It seems that only near the undead fire will the undead ghost bird and the undead leaf really resonate. When entering the 4th courtyard, we should prepare the materials to swallow the undead fire first. Xiao Yang smiled slowly. Next, it's time to refine the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal and cultivate the 9 transformations of the Dragon God. With a plan in his mind, Xiao Yang also slowly collected the Do Soul, and immediately took out the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal. Muttered. Just after taking out the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal, the iron cage containing the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal was immediately suspended by Xiao Yang above the blood pool. In the middle, a trace of fiery red liquid was slowly beating, and this fiery red liquid was exactly what Xiao Yang needed right now. Earth Dragon Blood Crystal. This is a dragon with dragon bloodline. Although it is extremely thin, it is the best for Xiao Yang now. After all, he has just started cultivating the 9 transformations of the Dragon God, tantamount to dying. However, looking at the dragon blood crystal here reminded Xiao Yang of the old Dragon Emperor of the Taishu Ancient Dragon. He was also one of the 5 people who entered this great world with him, but now there is no trace. In the vast world, only the real dragon race dominates, and the Taishu Ancient Dragon may be strong, but Xiao Yang has never heard of this race. After all, the Taishu Ancient Dragon is only a race with the blood of the dragon family. The real dragon family is nothing short of nothing. Forget it, let's deal with the things in front of you first. For the time being, without thinking about other things, he slowly opened his mouth and said, after all, the soul jade in Xiao Yang's hand, the soul power of the other 4 people are all engraved on it. At this time the soul jade is on the 4th silk soul power is stable, obviously they are all well. The dragon blood crystal here is really a good thing. The next moment, Xiao Yang turned his attention directly to the dragon blood crystal. A rather intoxicating force. What the dragon clan controls is naturally the limit of strength and physicality, and these pseudo-dragons with a thin bloodline of the dragon clan also inherit this characteristic, but at best they are not as powerful as the real dragon clan. However, this was enough for Xiao Yang at the moment. Holy flame. Xiao Yang didn't waste any time. The bright blue-yellow 2-color holy flame slowly wrapped around the iron cage outside the bounded dragon blood crystal. The fire burns into nothingness. Let's get started. Without the restraint of the iron cage, those blood crystals lost their center of gravity and were about to fall towards the blood pool below. Xiao Yang's eyes were fast, and the dazzling holy flame directly wrapped it and started refining. The material of the outermost layer of the Earth Dragon blood crystal is quite solid. Even if it was a holy flame, It took a full month of burning and refining before small cracks slowly appeared. The dragon's blood crystal slowly showed a trace of conspicuous cracks and began to melt. "Let's go out first," Xiao Yang said slowly while controlling Sheng Yang's refining ground dragon blood crystal. The red liquid that appeared from the refining of the earth dragon blood crystals slowly dripped into the blood pool below, and when the red liquid dripped down, the clear and transparent water surface turned scarlet. Xiao Yang did not dare to stop. Jump directly into the blood pool, and wait until all the blood crystals of the earth dragon are refined before they can absorb the power perfectly. A clear and crisp voice slowly emerged. In this special space set up by the ghosts, Xiao Yang was also working hard to refine the blood crystals. The place where Xiao Yang is at this time is the Guardian space on the 5th floor in the Icefire Island. The Guardian here is called the Furious Sea Crazy Lizard, and its strength has reached the level of a 4-star fighting immortal. Guarding the blood pond, but this guy didn't know that the blood pond had already been used by Xiao Yang. After all, he had the arrogant power of the ghost like a 6-star fighting fairy to cover up. No matter how careful this guy was, he would not be able to discover its secrets. Today's burning dew is a bit strange, Xiao Yang muttered while looking at the blood crystals that were continuously refining on the blood pool. Speaking of Fenju, Xiao Yang always felt that something was missing, because when he practiced Fenju, he only relied on devouring different fires to evolve Fenju's cultivation technique. At this time, Fenju, in addition to the level of cultivation technique evolution, seemed to there are another 6 levels. Burning dew is divided into 6 realms. One is burning dew, burning the foundation. The second is burning dew, burning the soul. The third is burning dew, burning the body. The fourth is burning the sky. The fifth is burning the earth. The mighty Fenju cultivation technique is completely in Xiao Yang's mind, but what makes Xiao Yang strange is that even if he has swallowed the holy flame, he still has not set foot on even the first realm of Fenju. Today's Fenju, its rank has reached the middle stage of the holy rank, but for the 6 realms of the Fenju, even if Xiao Yang has the holy flame, there is a feeling of powerlessness. It seems that the 6 realms of Fenju realm, I don't have enough strength to cultivate in general. According to Xiao Yang's conjecture, since Fenju is divided into 6 realms, when Xiao Yang's strength was still Emperor Do, he didn't even have the qualifications to investigate the cultivation methods of those 6 realms. I found some clues, but still couldn't find out all, so Fenju's 6 realms, even now, haven't set foot in the first realm. However, Xiao Yang felt that the stronger his own power, the more secrets hidden in the Fenju quietly emerged. With Xiao Yang refining the ground dragon blood crystal, more than a few months passed in an instant, and the Soul Eater and Nether Soul Sun, also during this period of time, carefully negotiated the issue of robbing the Chiju Divine Soul Cup, and patiently waiting for Xiao Yang to go out. In the blood pool at this time, the Earth Dragon blood crystals have all been refined and merged, and the original blood pool with a depth of tens of meters and a clear and transparent blood pool is now extremely crimson like lava, even bubbles kept emerging, and it was unknown whether it was because the temperature was too high or the energy was too intense. This dragon's blood is really not easy. Xiao Yang was standing quietly beside the blood pond at this time. Just relying on his perception, he also knew that in the blood pond at this time, such a huge energy might be able to kill a person in an instant. 1-star fighting immortal powerhouse. But fortunately, Xiao Yang's current strength has broken through the 1-star fighting immortal. Devouring the fighting spirit to improve strength is basically the consensus in the world, but the degree of improvement is related to the quality of the fighting spirit, and the time is quite short, and it does not take too much time. A Dozian powerhouse can only do this once, which also limits the idea of some outlaws using Do spirit to break through many times. Fight. Xiao Yang swallowed a trace of saliva, and then moved his footsteps gently, directly facing the blood pool. Just as the front foot touched the water surface, a whiff of white smoke immediately diffused from the surface of the skin above Xiao Yang's ankle. It hurts. Even with Xiao Yang's fearless personality, he couldn't help but let out a slight grin. Moreover, not only the unusual temperature in this blood pool, but even the white mist that emerged, made Xiao Yang faintly uneasy. Xiao Yang looked down and saw that his front feet, which had already submerged in the blood pool, had just been stained with some blood, when bursts of white mist emerged. It's so terrifying. Xiao Yang couldn't help but temporarily retracted his front feet, and then said with an ugly expression, "I don't care." With a little mental preparation, Xiao Yang directly ignored the 3721, and jumped into the blood pool suddenly. Xiao Yang was also bold, jumped directly into the blood pool, and then completely submerged his head and nose into the blood pool. The purpose of this was naturally to allow the dragon blood to better nourish his body. After all, The blood pool at this time has been fused with the blood essence of the ground dragon blood crystal. These red liquids are the best materials for tempering and training. This kind of body forging is tantamount to the exchange of blood on the Dochi continent, and even some body forging techniques are more powerful. In any case, this is also an earth dragon with dragon bloodline, and its strength has reached the level of fighting immortals. No matter how tough Xiao Yang was, the fiery red blood pool water did not give Xiao Yang any face. It burned Xiao Yang's body hotly, and even a trace of fiery red liquid slowly wrapped around Xiao Yang's skin. The tyrannical impact hit every inch of Xiao Yang's skin, and at the same time, a scream echoed in the blood pool. Aye! Xiao Yang was submerged in this fiery red blood pool. His head was protected by the power of the soul to prevent it from being corroded by this terrifying dragon blood, and every time he screamed, the water would surface. Several huge blisters appeared, and the blisters also came from the roaring sound. Come again. Xiao Yang continued to endure the inhuman torture, but said slowly, because he knew that if he couldn't get past the simplest level, he would be living up to the expectations of the Golden Dragon King. As time passed, Xiao Yang used the power of his soul to discover that the original Baiji skin on his surface had turned red, and the corner of his mouth smiled slightly. It seems that the screams of the past few days are not in vain. After all, this dragon blood has penetrated into Xiao Yang's skin, giving Xiao Yang's skin the tenacity of the dragon's blood, so as to swallow the dragon's blood and even the dragon behind him. The 9 transformation practice laid the foundation. The next moment, Xiao Yang didn't care about anything else. He let out a roar, and the dazzling soul power was directly mobilized. Crash! Following Xiao Yang's actions, the fiery red dragon blood in the tens of meters of blood pools was slowly dispersed by Xiao Yang's dazzling soul power. Earth dragon blood crystals are inherently precious. At the beginning, I was afraid that my body would not be able to withstand such a tyrannical dragon blood, so I diluted them with blood pool water. Now, it's time to devour all the dragon's blood to soften the skin, and the cultivation of the dragon god has changed. Xiao Yang's voice just fell, and somewhere in the surrounding fiery red liquid, the concentration instantly became extremely high, and it was faint. Suddenly, the blood pool was divided into one red and one white. The white water was originally clear and transparent, but the red color was formed by Xiao Yang using the power of his soul to isolate the original water of the blood pool and turned it into the blood of the earth dragon blood crystal. Come on, Xiao Yang murmured, and then the huge soul force went directly to the red liquid of the dragon blood crystal. Boom boom boom. As soon as the soul force touched the red liquid, the extremely high concentration of dragon blood was like crazy, and it burst into Xiao Yang's body. Surrounded by such a tyrannical dragon blood, the Do core and Do soul in Xiao Yang's body let out an extremely angry roar, as if realizing that Xiao Yang was in danger, and prepared to use his instinct to use his strength to protect Xiao Yang. Don't worry, it's just a little bit painful, but it's not difficult for me. Xiao Yang gritted his teeth and said word by word, but the pupils changed when the dragon blood surrounded his body and radiated the power to destroy everything. Full of blood. The dragon blood didn't care whether Xiao Yang could bear it or not, it just came to Xiao Yang, and it suddenly turned into a stream of nectar and slowly flowed over Xiao Yang's body. Damn! At this time, Xiao Yang's appearance was quite strange. He was immersed in the clear and transparent blood pool, but around his body, the dragon blood with the highest concentration of ground dragon blood was wrapped tightly. A terrifying force that was enough to blow Xiao Yang's body up, slowly radiated from the dragon's blood. Merge me in. At this time, Xiao Yang's eyes were red, like a madman, controlling the power of his soul, and ignoring the pain on his body, he directly gave the dragon's blood forcibly. Into your own body. Seeing Xiao Yang's desperate actions, his body suddenly made a fragile sound, as if it would explode at any time. Although the dragon blood was tyrannical, it was under the power of Xiao Yang's fairyland soul, also slowly calmed down, and then this seemingly invincible dragon blood was slowly injected into his body by Xiao Yang. Regardless, the madness and forcible fusion of dragon blood also brought a lot of sequelae to Xiao Yang. However, at this time, Xiao Yang's body was repairing at an extremely slow speed, and he was slowly absorbing and refining dragon blood. And as the arm-sized dragon blood was absorbed by Xiao Yang's body, on Xiao Yang's body, there was actually a flash of golden color that disappeared. The golden color that flashed away was exactly the same as the golden color on the Golden Dragon King. It's as if forever and ever, indestructible. Even Xiao Yang didn't realize that after absorbing the Earth Dragon blood crystal, Xiao Yang's body strength was also skyrocketing at a geometric speed. So much that there was a trace of something similar to dragon scales on the original Baiji's skin, but it was just a tender bud, and it was not born. When time passes, it is a year. During this year, Xiao Yang stayed quietly in the blood pool. One was to absorb the refining fighting spirit, and the other was to slowly absorb the dragon's blood, so as to improve his physical strength, thus creating the 9 transformations of the dragon god. Lay the foundation for practice. This guy is really calm. It's been a year. On the first floor, the place where Ghost Soul was imprisoned, Ghost Soul couldn't help but said. During this year, he and the Soul Eater were both standing in the first layer sealed land. Although they also visited Xiao Yang in the blood pool during the period, they did not bother too much when they saw Xiao Yang's appearance. The level of retreat, if disturbed by outsiders, it is easy to hurt the source. During this year, Ghost Soul and Soul Eater discussed a lot of things. Among them, Ghost Soul's strength, which had just been promoted to the 6-star fighting fairy, was also under the guidance of Soul Eater Master. This matter can't be rushed. The time required to devour the fighting soul is short, but his physical strength is a bit low. Although he has the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal, the time required will naturally not be short, not to mention the need to cultivate Dragon God 9 after strengthening his body. Change. The Lord of Soul Eater said with a free and easy smile, although he desperately wanted to recover to the peak and find the Lord of Lee Soul for revenge, but it has been so long, and he is not in a hurry. Dragon God 9 changes. Sir Xiao Yang's strength and luck are very good, otherwise this Dragon God will change, but even the Lord. The Ghost Son seemed to remember something, but he stopped abruptly when he said it. Humph. The Soul Eater snorted coldly when he heard the words. When he was young, he once challenged the Dragon Clan powerhouses. Although he was not the Golden Dragon King, he was also the overlord of the Dragon Clan. He also practiced the 9 transformations of the Dragon God. It was the use of many means of the Soul Eater talisman, and it was also defeated, which undoubtedly made the Lord of Soul Eater always haunted. Okay, stop talking nonsense, take the time to control what I taught you, and when we leave, you can also break through the seal on your own. After the Master of Soul Eater finished, the ghostly body hidden under the seal is also just around the corner. On the 5th floor of Icefire Island, in the blood pool. At this time, Xiao Yang was filled with an extremely tyrannical aura, as if he could deal with the powerhouses of the same level with just one punch and one kick from his body. The last drop. In the next moment, Xiao Yang, whose eyes were locked, slowly relaxed, and there was a rather rich drop of fiery red dragon blood on his chest. Crash. As soon as Xiao Yang finished speaking, a frantic suction force emanated from his body, directly sucking the dragon's blood away. After the dragon's blood was inhaled by Xiao Yang's body, it was a perfect fusion within a moment. At this point, the blood of the Earth Dragon in the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal poured into Xiao Yang's body without a trace. Bang bang bang. After doing all this, Xiao Yang got up slightly and left the blood pond, and then looking at his skin that had become swollen due to absorbing the power of the Earth Dragon's blood crystal, he couldn't help but release 2 punches at will. There was a screeching noise in the air. Xiao Yang couldn't help but be overjoyed that he was able to reach such a level just by virtue of his physical strength. You must know that when Xiao Yang was in the Dochi continent, although he had tempered his physical strength many times, he was not completely tempered this time. At this time, although Xiao Yang's physical strength could not be compared with the Dragon Clan, it was still among the human powerhouses. The physical strength of light is probably enough to be compared with some powerhouses in the late 2-star fighting Immortal stay. Next, it's time to practice the 9 transformations of the Dragon God. Xiao Yang threw a few punches in satisfaction and said slightly, "The 9 transformations of the Dragon God is the supreme martial art fighting skill of the Dragon Clan. When the 9 transformations are used together, the power directly compels the demigod." At this time, as Xiao Yang absorbed the dragon's blood, the information that recorded the 9 transformations of the Dragon God also happened. Made some subtle changes. A demigod. Xiao Yang couldn't help frowning when he noticed this slight change. Although the Master of Soul Eater didn't tell Xiao Yang vaguely knew that in this great world, the god of fighting was probably also the existence of the phoenix and water chestnut, and anything that could be related to the word god of fighting would be the subject of respected by countless human beings. The 9 transformations of the Dragon God is a total of 9 transformations. Only dragons or beasts with dragon blood can train practitioners. Xiao Yang carefully sensed the cultivation method. There seems to be something else here. Just after Xiao Yang read the news, he suddenly found that something was hidden in the bottom corner. If it is a human, you must quench your body with dragon blood before you can cultivate. Several very tiny fonts slowly appeared in the bottom corner. If it wasn't for Xiao Yang's tyrannical soul power, I'm afraid he would never have discovered it. The 9 transformations of the Dragon God. How does it make me feel that it was not created by the strong dragon race? Could it be that it was created by us humans? Xiao Yang was plagued with questions. Forget it, let's talk about the first one of the 9 transformations after training. At the next moment, Xiao Yang didn't dare to hesitate too much. After all, it took a lot of time to devour the fighting spirit and absorb the dragon's blood. Boom. The body has just started to operate according to the route recorded by the 9 changes, and then a touch of coercion like a dragon will slowly diffuse out. And the source of this permeation turned out to be Xiao Yang. To be precise, it is above Xiao Yang's body. It seems that dragon blood tempering is really useful. Seeing that there was no obstacle, the first transformation of the dragon god was easily activated, and Xiao Yang's eyes became more and more hot. The Dragon Clan is a term for physical strength and destruction in the vast world, and the 9 transformations of the dragon god can be said to be their root. So Xiao Yang is quite looking forward to the first transformation of the dragon god 9 transformations. The first transformation of the dragon god 9 transformations. Not long after San became familiar with the operation circuit of the dragon god 9 transformations, Xiao Yang made a deep voice, and then a voice like a dragon's roar resounded through the sky. At the same time, following Xiao Yang's activating the 9 transformations of the dragon god, a strange power appeared on Xiao Yang's body. That power does not have any color, nor any form, instead it is somewhat like the power of the earth dragon blood crystal that has just refined and tempered its own body. And with the display of the first transformation of the 9 transformations of the dragon god, Xiao Yang's physical strength actually skyrocketed. This first transformation of the dragon god was originally made by the tempering of the dragon's blood to greatly improve the physical strength and defense. Hey, at this time, I am afraid that I will not lose to any 2-star fighting immortals in melee combat just by virtue of the augmentation of the first transformation of the dragon god. Even a powerhouse with a complete 2-star fighting immortal. A rare smile appeared on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth. It was only now that Xiao Yang, who had learned the first transformation of the dragon god 9 transformations, realized the tyranny of the dragon god 9 transformation. Xiao Yang didn't dare to imagine that the increase brought about by the first change was so tyrannical. If the 9 changes were to happen at the same time, I'm afraid it would directly force the peak of this great thousand world. This video will end here.